Hello, everyone. So today we're going to be talking about week 4 topics, what you'll be doing for the rest of the week here and wrapping up the class. This is all kind of self-study. So inside this is Unity animation tutorials, and we're going to be taking a look at the animation system. There's some basics just to remind you of how those all work, and we'll be putting this together with a bit more once we actually get into the Mac Anim system. So quick word about this, there are tests just checking the information from those tutorials and things. One big thing I want to point out is that make sure you use exactly what's shown in the tutorials themselves, not what is on your system, because if you are using a newer version of Unity, some things may have changed, but the tests are written specifically for the videos and follow along tutorials from this. So all this week is pretty much going to be introducing you to, or reminding you of that Mac Anim system. We're going to take a look at some more advanced topics of how we can get some blending and movement based off the animation and stuff. So there's 2 follow-alongs here, and we're going to be adding force to allow our character to move. One thing about that, this is written in an older version of Unity. That is one of the challenges for this class. We are giving you an older tutorial that you will follow along with. Some things may have changed in the new interface. This is very common for engines that are still being updated constantly. So like when you go and look at code that you wrote a month ago and try it in a newer version of the engine, things might have changed up a little bit. So all these tutorials are still very useful and contain a lot of information. So you will just need to work through them. There are a couple of things that have changed that do require a little bit of extra work. One thing I want to point out is, so what you'll be doing is actually importing this character from an FBX file along with some animations it has. Then you'll be putting an animation controller to use those animations and blend based on those different animations. And yeah, so definitely updates do change for the engine about what you'll see and things like that. So this is part of the challenge of this class, just being able to take what you're being shown and adapt it to a new interface and things like that. So right here, what you'll have when you finish is a character that is controlled by WASD. A and D will actually rotate the character around, playing a rotate animation on the feet and everything like that. And when we walk, we'll be able to walk around and it'll blend smoothly between whether it's going fast or whether it slows down and stops. So we have nice smooth animations, no just popping straight to our run animation, as well as like when we're rotating, it's playing a separate animation. It achieves that by going through a blend space. If you do remember back in, PGF2, we did talk about creating a blend space. We were just looking for the speed blend space here. We are creating a 2D blend space for our locomotion here so that as it's playing, and we can even have this window down here show, I'm gonna play it so that we can watch it actually change. Like, depending on what I'm doing, if I'm trying to turn left, it'll play that left walk animation. If we're going forward and actually have a bit of speed going faster and things like that, we want it to play forward. As we go towards the center, that's our idle, and we can see it actually blending between these different animations based on how we set them up. So there's usually a difference between a 1D blend space and a 2D blend space. Typically don't go into 3D blend spaces, but a 1D blend space would only have one variable. So you would only have like a straight linear path of like, I could change whether I'm walking backwards, not walking, or walking forwards. But the 2D blend space allows us to say, all right, we're also going to be changing our direction. So we're going to be running to the right for this one. And that you see that it's still at speed 0. It's not going any forward or backward. It's just going to the right. So you will be setting that all up. Big thing to watch out for is which animations have which values. I would recommend laying it out the exact same, and you can move these around the same way just to reorder it in case you added them oddly in the first place. But one big thing that will change is some of the code. As I mentioned, it was written for a very old tutorial, and so the speed by default and things like that will be screwed up because it was written on a very old computer that was just immediately doing frame-based speed, and computers run a lot faster now, so that is not going to cut it. So one thing I want to show you is just the actual script for the character, how we're adding in the force, making sure that it does do the velocity change, and we are multiplying in the time so that regardless of how fast the game is running, it'll always still keep that same amount of movement, or if you're holding W for 1 second, it'll still accelerate at the same rate instead of being frame-based. So I will just show this on screen for a little bit, just so that once you get to that part, if you notice like your character glitching around the level rather than moving and accelerating quickly, you can take a look at this video and copy this script instead. All right. So back over to how things are laid out. There's going to be the tests for the animation tutorials. Make sure you are basing them directly off of the videos that are shown. Even if things have changed a little bit for the layout, make sure you reference the ones in those tutorials. Last thing we have is another discussion for the state machines, breaking them down into the different states. This one is specifically saying that this guy, Jeff, the new guy, has an idea for a game, and he wants to know, what do you think about how you could break that down into those different states? So rather than choosing a game that you've been playing or anything, it will be based off this quick explanation of what this new guy's game is. Once again, this one is, there's no right or wrong answers, but you do have to reply to another student's post, letting them know like if they forgot something or if you think it could have been done a different way, things like that. And that's about it for today's lecture. As I mentioned just before we started, it is a very short lecture today since this is all kind of self-study for this week. On Wednesday, I will be able to talk about Sneaky Sneaky if you did have any questions about how things could have been done or something like that. But I need to wait till everybody has that turned in or it's past the late turn-in date. Cool. Other than that, are there any questions about how this week's going to run? Alrighty. What about any of the other guys? I know John's good. Always good. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording here.